Hi guys, we're here today at an old graveyard in the south of County Kilkenny, not too far from the Tipperary border, in the townland of Lamoge. This is an old graveyard with just a few headstones around and the big old yew trees and a walled, kind of squarish walled graveyard. There is no sign of a church, presumably there was one here at some stage. There is the site of a holy well a little bit over to that direction, which is now gone as well. But the interesting thing about this site is that we have two Ogham stones here. So these two were discovered in the late 19th century, so in around the 1890s. One was discovered first, and then the second one was discovered a couple of years later. So these were recorded quite a long time ago, and I actually have photographs of them when they were upright. So what we're going to do today is just have a quick look at them and see if we can actually read them. So generally with Ogham, it starts on the left hand side of the face on the angle, reads up along, and then down the other side. So imagine that this stone was once upright. So we can actually see sometimes the actual scores along the edge, but other times it can be difficult, especially on a dull day, to actually see the scores. And what you can do is actually use your fingers and feel where they are, because it has been carved into the stone quite deep, sometimes grooved, so you can actually feel them with your fingers. So I can feel here that there are 4 scores going to the right of a stem line. So I have my alphabet here, so I know that 4 scores to the right is an S. So it seems as if it starts here with an S. So next we have some notches right on the angle, and the notches are for the vowels. So in this case we seem to have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be an E. Then we have 3 scores going to the right again, so a V. Another 1, 2, 3, 4 notches for another E. And then we have 2 very clear diagonal scores going across the stem line. So 2 groups of 5, so that's a double R. And you can see a space between, you have 5 and then another 5 with a space between, which is very clearly a double R. And then finally on this angle you have 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 scores there for an I. And from McAllister's earlier reading, when this stone was upright, he read a final T on the other side of the top, which we can no longer see now. So that reads Severit, which may, we think, be related to the Latin name Severus. So to move on to the other side then, so what we have here is the remains of a name. So we have a bit missing on top, and usually after an initial personal name we will have usually a mockery, which is like the modern Irish mock, meaning son of. So we have something like Severus, son of, and then we're missing here again through the break at the top of the stone the start of the name. But what we do have, and you'd have to use your fingers here, is a double T at the back here, and then we have a notch for an A, and what appears to be 5 more notches for an I, and then we have a clear 4 scores here to the right for an S. And that is all that seems to be on this stone. So this stone has no cross or anything else, so just the first name, bit missing at the top, which is probably son of, and then the end of the second name, which is T-T-A-I-S. And McAllister suggested that it might have been Ruddish, which is a name that is found on other stones that we're not entirely sure what name it is. Okay, so that's the first one. We'll have a look at the second. This one is actually facing the other way around, so when it was standing up it would have been standing up this way. So we look at it from this direction, and again it reads up this face and there's a little bit that goes up the top here and then down this side. So on this stone we have two actual recognizable names. Well, the first one certainly. So again, we can, by looking along here, we can see it starts here, and we have two vowels, or two scores going to the left for a D, so it starts with D. Then you have two notches for an O. Then you have three, and again it's hard to see them on top of the stone here, but you can feel them with your fingers. And there are three scores there for a V, so we have D, O, V, A. Then a T, U, C, so four scores going to the left for a C. Then probably they're a bit worn there, but I think I can feel about 5 notches there, so that's an I and A, V, and yeah, we have the V there, and then the I runs up along here towards the top of the stone. So 5 notches there. They're very damaged and weathered, so it's hard to be sure of them. Running along there, and then we have, so that gives us Dubha Tuki, and Dubha Tuki is an early form of the name Dubhtach, which is a very common name later on in the Old Irish period in the manuscripts, and it comes from the word dove, meaning dark or black. So it's something like the dark one or something along those lines. And then on the other side then we have, at the top first we have the AVI, and AVI, Awi, is a very early form of the word in modern Irish, O, meaning grandson. So on the other stone we had a probable Mochi, which is lost, which is later Mock, meaning son of, and here we have Awi, later O, meaning grandson. So on these two stones we have examples of the origins of our Irish personal names, our family names, with Mock and O, meaning literally son and grandson of. So this one is grandson of, and then you have, here we have a T, U, L, 2 scores here, L, O, another T, A, N, 5 scores here for an N. Then we have A, and around this side 2 scores going right across here, which is a G, 5 for an I, and finally an A. So those are very clear there. So this is the name Tulatanagia, which in later Irish would be Tulcanach, which means pleasing or willing. So someone who is pleasing or willing. So it is actually attested later on in manuscript sources as a name also. So there we have the readings of our 2 bone stones here. And what we're going to do here, while we're here today, is to record them in 3D using photogrammetry. So once we have these recorded, we can put them on the Ogham 3D website, and then anyone will be able to view them in 3D from there and read all about the names on the inscriptions and the site itself.